Video Games Recon.
Hello and welcome. My name is Nate from Video Games Recon, and in this video we're going to discuss all the current Advanced Warfare weapons in this class and then pick the best or my favourite weapon in said category, and then create my favourite loadout or class setup for this category of weapon. First off, if you've already seen this intro in a previous video, feel free to skip ahead to the time on screen. Also, each weapon will be reviewed or discussed as the basic model and not including any of the upgraded versions. And please keep in mind this is just my humble opinion, and due to your playstyle, your opinion may differ, which is perfectly fine, and in such case, please don't rage out and lose your shit. Instead, feel free to post your thoughts in the comments. Anywho, without any further ado, let's do it to it. Okay. So as per usual, I'm going to pick my favourite weapon from this class. First off, let's discuss specials in general. FYI, I will be bundling the crossbow in as it seems relevant to this class. So the specials in general are designed to be quite niche, doing a very unique and specialist task. So as to whether they're useful or not will depend on whether you have a spare slot and or whether you have a particular task in mind. But personally, I rarely if ever use any of the specialist weapons, mostly because 2 out of 3 of these weapons take up your primary slot. With that, let's quickly go through the weapons before I pick my favourite. First up is the heavy Riot Shield, not to be confused with the Exo Shield ability. This thing is very similar to the Riot Shield from Black Ops 2, except it now has attachments to increase melee speed, plant speed, and to electrocute fuels with shock plant. All in all, it's pretty much your typical Riot Shield. That said, it is kind of fun to double up on your shields and pretend you're a turtle. Next, the MDL grenade launcher is probably the least useful weapon in all of Advanced Warfare, as unlike the MK32 from Ghosts, the MDL fires time-delayed explosives instead of straight-up impact grenades akin to a noob tube or the Semtex rounds from the MK32. Instead, it fires the junky time-delayed rounds that are near impossible to get kills with on any other mode than domination or hardpoint, and even then it's easier said than done. On top of which, this weapon is classed as a primary. Put simply, an absolute pile of garbage. The crossbow has changed very little since previous incarnations such as Black Ops 2, firing a single fire explosive tipped bolt, capable of one-shot kills at all ranges, and is a great secondary for short-range weapons such as shotguns and SMGs. Also, this weapon can be made even more potent by equipping Danger Close. So, this just leaves me to choose my favourite special weapon. Well, first up, the heavy Riot Shield. If you like Riot Shields, then you're gonna love this, as it now has attachments that can improve this weapon further. But for me, I've never really been into Riot Shields, and as such, I'd probably only use it to protect from getting shot in the back. Next is the MDL, which is an absolute pile of shit. Enough said. So that only leaves the crossbow, which can actually be a useful special weapon, primarily because unlike the others, this can be equipped as a secondary, potentially saving precious slots of your pick 13, and now giving you the option to run a primary. Also, the crossbow can help you at longer ranges by helping to clear rooms and objectives due to its explosive tip. So, not the best weapon in the game, but for my money easily the best special weapon. Okay, so with that, let's get into my favourite loadout for this class. FYI, this part of the video will be less scripted and more off the cuff. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so this is my best specials loadout. This one's a bit of a tricky one because, you know, for all intensive purposes, it kind of looks like I've gone with, you know, this is an MP11 class. But, you know, it's not really, it's more aimed for the crossbow. So basically, the reason I've picked the crossbow, like I previously discussed, is because it's a secondary, so I don't have to worry about, you know, having the shield or the MDL take up a primary slot, so I can have a decent gun on my primary, whereas if I had either of them two, I'd have to take basically a pistol or the crossbow itself. Now that's not really that effective getting kills. Sure, it might be fun, or maybe you've worked out how to be a boss with a fucking Riot Shield, or heavy shield, whatever it's called, or with an MDL. But for my money, you're going to get way more kills with a decent primary, and then when there's something at range that you can't quite reach with said primary, switch out to the crossbow. Or if you just want to dick about and have fun, switch out to the crossbow. So basically for the primary, I put the MP11 because I want something close range. The crossbow, it can sort of handle that mid to longish range. So I want something close range so I can just nail people, and then when I can't reach them anymore, just switch out to the crossbow. So I've gone with the MP11 because it's good for close range and it's not so good for those long ranges. The first attachment I put advanced rifling on, again to increase the range, because the range isn't great on SMGs and it's not that great on the MP11 specifically. It's not that bad, but it's not that great. Next attachment is quick draw, the quick draw grip, yeah. And that's just, SMGs, you want to pull them out as quick as possible. You want to get them onto the targets, because you're going to be up close and personal, so you don't want to be fanning about too long. So quick draw is the next one. I've skipped on the third perk because we're sort of rocking two primaries here, if you will, so I didn't feel we needed to load the first weapon with attachments. So now we're going to do the secondary, or what is essentially one of the primaries for this, and we've obviously gone with the crossbow, as I don't need to explain. And the attachment we've put on this, there aren't a whole lot of attachments, they're basically all sights. So I've messed around with a few of them, like red dot's decent and stuff, and hybrid, autofocus, I suppose they're all okay if you're into that. ACOG's quite good, I usually quite like ACOG. I tried the crossbow scope, I don't know what it was, but I wasn't a huge fan of it, it didn't really work out for me. Target enhancer's decent, but it's decent for like mid-range. If you want to try and punch out a long range, it's sort of, I feel like it holds you back. So I've gone with thermal for this one, just because it looks cool and you don't often get to use thermal per se. So I've put up the thermal, and it can just help you identify targets and get cheeky little shots with the crossbow basically. It's quite hard sometimes to get shots with the crossbow, and you've got to keep in mind at longer ranges it's got a massive arc on it, it's got a massive drop off. It droops significantly when firing at a distance, so you've got to factor that in if you're trying to get long shots. It can be a bit tricky, but I think the thermal is going to help you pick out your targets a lot better, so that's what I've gone with. Lightweight, I always do lightweight pretty much, so yeah. Fast hands, again, as often as I can I like to do that because it reloads quicker. Obviously again with the crossbow I hope you get your second bolt in, because it's like a one shot, one fire jobby. So that should help with that somewhat. Blast suppressor, again with this game you just sort of need it unless you want to be showing up on the radar a lot. I mean, you can get away with it, depends what sort of style you're going. If you're rushing, you don't per se need it, you can sort of get away with it. But for this I've decided to put it on, I think, because there's going to be certain points where we're going to be holding back and trying to get those shots with the crossbow, so we don't want to show up on the radar too much. Scavenger, because we've basically got a fast firing SMG and it's going to spam through ammo pretty quick. You can probably get away with it, but decided to go with it. I've not put an XO ability on. Sometimes it's just not worth putting them on. There's only a few good ones. I was toying with the idea of putting XO ping on just for shits and giggles, but I decided it's just gimmicky. There's only a few of these abilities, as I've discussed in a previous video, that I think are good. Maybe half of them are decent and 2 of them are good. The rest are pretty weak, if I'm honest. The launcher, I've gone with stun grenade. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. Stun grenade, I'm not sure how useful it is. It does help you out sometimes in fights. If I was going to go with any X, I'd probably go with the Semtex. It's usually most good for running interference, the stun grenade, disrupting people, so you can get past choke points and dodgy lines of sight you're worried about and stuff. Or get you out of a tight spot if you know someone's got it on you or whatever. So okay, next up is the score streak. We're going to go into the score streaks, and first one is UAV. We've gone for support on this one because I don't know how well you're going to be linking up all those kills. You might be doing decent, but there's no particular stealth with this one, so it's going to be a bit trickier. Yeah, so I've gone support, enemy direction, because that's always a nice little thing. You can see where they're going. It's like the old you know, Blackbirds in Black Ops and all that malarkey. And extra assist points. Basically, I put this on when I've got other score streaks, so it helps you build to those next score streaks quicker, because you'll get additional points when other people get kills and so on. With this one, I've gone bombing run. I figured I'll mix it up a little bit on this one, make it a little bit more interesting. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not a huge fan of these score streaks in this. But I've gone bombing run because I figured it'd be fun and be quite interesting to do. It can be quite useful at times as well, specifically on objective modes. It can be real useful. And I've gone with stealth on that because if people know where it's coming, it's like the old, I forget which one it is, like the original Modern Warfare. I think you can maybe do it in Modern Warfare 3, I can't remember. And they know where that bombing run or whatever it is coming down. They're just going to leg it out there. You're not going to get killed, not often anyway. But if you put stealth on, they know there's a bombing run coming in, but they're not going to know where. So, you know, you're going to get kills. Again, specifically on objective modes, you're going to get kills. So it's pretty good. So yeah, that's my loadout for the special. It's a bit of a tricky one to nail down, this one, but I figured Crossbow is the way to go because, you know, it's in your secondary and you can have two weapons, basically two primaries essentially for this sort of idea or whatever. But yeah, so that's my favourite special class. But never mind what I think, what do you think of the guns in Advanced Warfare so far? Feel free to post your thoughts on the weapons in this class in the comments section. So, that just leaves me to say, if you enjoyed this video, please help support us by liking, sharing, favouriting and subbing for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.